Welcome back to Taylor by Nature, where I discuss topics pertaining to nature, our true nurturer. Today's topic of discussion is about my experience this weekend. I went onto TikTok just to kind of see the vibe of, I guess, live audiences and just kind of live discussion, kind of see how things operate on TikTok. I'm thinking about doing a live myself, so I just kind of went on there just trying to see what's going on. I went on to a couple of religious, I guess, topics or religious accounts. I guess that's what they pretty much deal with. And I went on a couple of political ones. But the overall experience it was a very interesting experience. Many people on there are set within an ideology, and the people on there, I guess they all just kind of gravitate to the same thing. Probably the reason why they're there. So it's like a collective religiosity kind of thing. And so I pointed some things that I saw that it's I guess something that stood out to me. And I asked one of the gentlemen about, they were talking about Christ and all these different things. And one of the things I point out is that the ideology is something we can live without. And I was saying that we need to get back to the fundamental, the basics of the things we cannot live without. So when you look at the world we live in, right, the foundation is food, water, shelter, light, the air we breathe. These basic things that nature creates. So pretty much what I'm saying is the things that nature creates, like water, air, land, and light, those things we cannot do without. So those things should be the basic principle of the foundation where we, as human beings, we all stand on, because without those things as human beings, we cannot exist as human beings. And I see people, and I said that, and it was like, people, they were so focused on like debating people about religious ideology and history of this and history of that. Here's the thing: people always we don't know what happened in the past, and we'll never get a really true story of what happened in the past. But one thing for sure, if we practice the basic of self-care, self-sufficiency, and self-governing, which is all rooted in the nature that we see around us, that will give us a better, I guess, a better outcome versus if we argue ideology. Because ideas come, ideas go. People learn new ideas. People forget ideas. And so when everyone going around say, I'm right, and it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong within an ideology. At the end of the day, we could all live without it. If the idea go away, we still gonna be here. So let's focus on the things that's keeping us here, the things that we need, the basic fundamental things as human beings. And that was the premise of my whole, I guess, when I was arguing a couple of points on there, is that we have to move back to base. Base is to the foundation of things. And like I said, we have moved away from a natural, from nature to an ideology. And most of those ideologies are very destructive. And so, like I said, overall, like I said, the experience, I could see when the Bible said, my people suffer because of lack of knowledge. And we are definitely suffering because we have moved away from nature, our true nurturer. And I also mentioned that the animals, the plants, everything on the planet are still in line with nature. None of the species on Earth have moved away from nature except for human beings. And for some reason, I guess I would say because of language we were speaking, because our language have changed. The language of the animals have not changed. They're still in tune with nature because our language have changed. And I was trying to point out that because our language have changed, we have become destructive. The language we are speaking is no longer in line with nature. It opposes natural law. And because the language we were speaking, because it opposes natural law, it tend to come, when we do things, it come back in a negative way because of the language that we are speaking. And so I try to point that out as a reference point to where we are going. And like I said, some of the, I guess the pushback I get from there is that, why are you concerned about nature? I'm like, but without nature, we don't exist. Without the things of nature, we don't exist. And I was saying, like I said, ideology on all this religion, who's this, who's that, who all these different things, without those things, we still will be here. But without nature, we won't be here. So like I said, my overall experience, it was very different. I didn't expect that experience, that people are such in a cult where they're just pushing one agenda and not looking at the broader picture on a broader spectrum of life, and how, if we don't get attuned to back to nature, that we're not going to be able to sustain our life and live a healthy, prosperous, or have a healthy, prosperous life and experience here on earth overall. Like I was saying, the problem with ideology separate people. It separate people vastly because of based on different cultures, belief system. So we're looking at a system, an ideological system. It creates separation and division. That's what it does. And so it's in the best, I guess, the people who are, I guess, that run the earth or who are in charge, it's best to push ideology, because if you push ideology, you divide the people and you continue to get to rule and dominate over them because they're no longer together as a cohesive unit. But if you push, imagine if we all get back on the basis of nature. Guess what? Everyone be attuned, because everyone realized that without these things we cannot survive. And so the fundamental connection for all humans is nature. And that's one of the things, pretty much one of the things I was talking about, is to get back on a baseline where everyone connects. Because right now in the ideological state, no one connects. Just to kind of elaborate what I was saying regarding get back on baseline, get back to nature, is a Bible verse that encapsulate what I was trying to say, and is Ecclesiastic 12 verse 13, which states, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter, fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of men." The reason why I read that verse is, a lot of people may read a verse and they may get something else out of it. And one of the key words in that verse is the word fear. Many people think that fear God is to be scared or do something in that manner. But when you look up the word fear in Aramaic, it has nothing to do with fearing someone. The actual end part of the verse, where is to keep his commandment, that's pretty much what the word fear means. So in the Aramaic, when the word fear, when you say fear God, it means to keep his commandments, and because they are positive and they are righteous instructions. So when it says to fear him, it means to keep the commandment. Why are we keeping the commandment? Keeping the commandment is not for the Creator. Keeping the commandment is for us. And the reason why it says for us is because the instructions that we're given by our Creator, they're positive instructions. And those instructions return positive outcome. And so if we do things that oppose natural law, the consequence is going to be detrimental to us. So the Most High is saying, keep my instructions, listen to them, do them, because they are positive instructions. And it's not so much the Most High is going to do something to us if we don't listen to His instruction. Is that they're fundamental laws that's ingrained within the earth. So within the earth, people call it physics. There are certain actions that come with certain outcomes. And the Most High is saying, all these things within the earth are set. I made them, that's my law. I don't change my law. The Most High doesn't change. And because the Most High doesn't change, nature doesn't change. So whatever things you do, be it positive or negative, they are all tied to outcome and consequences. And because they're tied to outcome and consequences, based on which, if it's positive or negative, the Most High is saying, listen to the positive things that I'm saying so you could reap positive outcome based on my design philosophy. That's what the Most High is saying in that verse. So it's not about fearing someone, it's to listen to the positive instruction that had been given so you could reap the positive outcome. So, like I said earlier, the reason I was arguing the thing about nature is that within nature, there are set laws and rules within nature. And if we break those set laws and rules, they come with positive or they come with negative outcome. So what I was saying, us getting back and getting in tune with nature, we would have a more positive life and positive outcome within our life here on earth. Because if we don't adhere to natural laws, if we go and do what we want to do as thou will, which is Satanism, which is opposing of natural laws. If we oppose natural law, they're tied to consequences. And so we have to keep that in mind. Like I say, go back to the baseline, not ideology, not saying someone's going to forgive you for your sins and all this nonsense, because no one gets forgiveness for their sins. Everything you do, it comes back to you, be positive or negative. And the Most High states that every man is responsible for his own action or his own sin. So this thing, I know one of the things they were pushing on there was talking about Christ and this, and it seemed like everything has been morphed and pushed outside of us when everything is within us. Because you're responsible for your own actions. And whatever consequences come with those actions, they are tied to your actions, they're tied to you. No one is going to forgive you for anything. No one gets forgiveness. Whatever things you do, the good deeds you do, come with good rewards. Positive things, negative things you do, come with negative outcome. Everyone knows this. I'm not sure why. Like I said, the Christianity thing that they're pushing about Christ and all this stuff, they're pushing an ideology where you have to give tithe and offering and all these things, and give these things attention and money for some reason, for you to live a good life or get forgiveness for your actions, which, like I said, it's the biggest scam in the world, where they sell forgiveness and everlasting life. It's amazing that they sell these ideas and people fall for these ideas every day. It's crazy. But like I said, we're responsible for actions, and our actions come with consequences. So like I said, just kind of share that with you guys. Hope you guys find this of interest. Just let you know that many of the things that we see that's happening, we're speaking a different language, and I try to convey that while I was on there doing my visit on the different podcasts. That we're speaking, you can't read the Bible in English and think that you're really going to get this true understanding. You're not. The people that wrote, or the people that penned the original scriptures, their language mirrors nature. Their language creates images of itself by reflecting or mimicking functions in nature. So their language is tied to the Creator. Remember, the Creator creates nature. He created this law, and their language was part of this law. So they was following the laws of nature. So the people that penned the scriptures, the original scriptures, not the English version of it, their idea of living and things that they do is all nature dependent. So if you're not in a nature dependent stage and mindset, you're never going to comprehend the Bible, like what the scripture was meant to do. It was never meant to create some deity or anything like that. It was meant for us to use it as a tool, as instructions to survive here on earth. Because the earth have many rules, many laws, and if we don't know those laws, death is going to be at your doorstep. Because breaking them come with consequences. And that's what the instructions were for. It's an inheritance for us to use in order to survive during this time. And to upkeep and to keep our body, our temple intact. Because it's being attacked every day from every angle. So the only reason why we're here is because of our temple. The entities that are trying to destroy us, are trying to destroy the temple. So everything kind of goes back to the temple. So if you don't eat the right food, you don't take the right medicine, you don't eat the proper, get a proper balance in your nutrients, it's going to wreak havoc on your health overall. So a lot of people read the Bible thinking some spirits and all these other stuff they think about. Those are ideology. Fundamental thing about human beings, we are biological machines, and the instruction we're given is how to upkeep that biological machine, how to keep it fit, how to keep it running, how to keep it keep it efficient, so we could do the things we need to do on a daily basis. That's all this thing is all about. Nothing about religions and all these things. All these things could leave us and nothing will change. But guess what? If nature leaves, we no longer could survive. So focus on the basic fundamental core of our existence here on earth, and nature was given to us as a support for us being here. Thanks for your time, and I hope this is of interest to you guys, and have a wonderful day.